Good evening. I'm Southern Baptist, so we do call and response. Good evening. In 3 days, I will be Dr. Melissa Renee Crum. But what I've learned is I am no smarter than my mother, the first in our family to earn her undergraduate degree. I'm no smarter than my grandmother, who left high school to raise a family, or my great-grandfather, who died illiterate. As a Schweitzer Fellow, I approached my project with a concept called Participatory Action Research, or PAR. PAR states that the people who are most affected by the problem being addressed are the most knowledgeable and have some of the best insight on how to solve it. What PAR teaches us is that no matter how many degrees you can earn, you are illiterate or ignorant of something. You need other people. For my project, I worked with 13 eighth graders, the Greater Linden Development Corporation, and a social studies teacher on a documentary project that focused on one of the most stereotyped neighborhoods in the city, South Linden. The documentary highlights the history of the neighborhood and environmental racism that has been occurring in that space for decades. These 13-year-olds, labeled ignorant by others, created questions for and interviewed the Ohio EPA, Columbus Health Department, and the nationally renowned Kirwan Institute on Race and Ethnicity. They learned of the high rates of prostate cancer, asthma, and other illnesses in the neighborhood that are, in part, due to businesses that are allowed to pollute there. With Ohio State cartography students, the eighth graders created digital maps to offer Linden residents and visitors a resource for neighborhood historical landmarks, businesses, and health and human services. I don't live in Linden. I'm not a cartographer. I don't know much about environmental justice, and I definitely do not know how to make a movie, yet I was there. I can humbly say I came to this project ignorant about many things. I had to rely on a community of partners and a group of eighth graders. My students don't have the best grade point averages. They aren't all known to be the hardest workers, but our inclusive atmosphere encouraged students to take ownership of the documentary. So much so, some dedicated their spring break to working on the project. So as I prepare to walk across the graduation stage on Sunday, and as I close this fellowship year, I am reminded of something my grandfather told me. He said, "You might have schooling, but I got sense." I believe what he meant was, I have a certain set of skills that I have been trained to execute in a particular setting. And he has another set of agrarian skills and a charisma for managing his laborers in a way that I don't have and may never will. As we continue to do our work in this community, it's important that we enter into spaces recognizing that they may or may not have MDs, JDs, or PhDs, but they do have some sense. And most likely, they have more sense than you, especially regarding their spaces you are working to invest in. If PAR had a tagline, it would be, "We are better together." I thank each of those eighth grade minds, Donna Hitcho of the Greater Linden Development Corporation, my academic mentor, Dr. Karen Hutzel, our numerous community partners, and the overworked, under-resourced, yet innovative, inspiring, and optimistic Jonah of Linden, our social studies teacher and partner, Dr. Roderick Watson, Jr. We are indeed better together. Thank you.